Hey, how's it going, YouTubers? Finally have some time to upload a video. Um, so here we go. Obviously, there's no hockey going on right now. We're 2 months or so past, or over 2 months since the Tampa Bay Lightnings won the Stanley Cup over the Dallas Stars in 6 games. So today, being the 1st of December, and there's 31 days in the month, I would really want to try and get at least one video up every single day, kind of talking about each team. It's kind of like a 31 and 31 preview, you could kind of say, just like the NHL Network does. Except I don't have all the flashy highlights and all the other fancy stuff, because heaven forbid I play a video on my TV, then it can probably get kicked off or banned, and that'd be the second time, and then I'm sure my YouTube career would just be gone. Not that I have a YouTube career, I just like talking about sports and but mostly hockey anyway. So today I want to talk about the Anaheim Ducks. 2 straight seasons without a playoff berth. The last time they made the playoffs was in 2018, the first round when they got swept by the San Jose Sharks. So they would love nothing more than to get back in the playoffs, and the fact that Getzlaf is still around is unbelievable. I think he's the only member that's left for the 2007 Stanley Cup Championship run. So just goes to show that he's committed. He's stayed there his whole career, and he's probably going to retire a Duck. Anyway, we'll get to him in just a sec. So this is their roster as of today, according to the NHL Network. Um, Going in alphabetical order, I got all the players. I'm not sure how well the screen's going to be, so I do apologize. I just try to get myself into the shot, and I also try to get the background into the shot. So, again, I don't have all the crazy good technology, or whatever the case may be is, but anyways, I'll make do with what I got. So, they got Andrew Agazina, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, at bottom six forward. Came over from Pittsburgh in trade. In the trade deadline, I do believe, last season. Um, he could be a good fit on the left side or at center. That's why they have the LW/C. This is all courtesy of NHL 21, so shout out to them, the EA Sports. Um, the next one is Dave Backus, and this is an interesting one for me because he was with Boston. I still remember it was in 2016 after the Blues went to the Western Conference Championship, and then they ended up losing to the San Jose Sharks. And then that was the last time David Backes was in a Blues uniform because he became a free agent, and then Boston paid him a crazy amount of money. I think it's $4.5 million that he paid him over 4 years. So they were like, well, we got to get rid of this contract. Um, I don't know how much of an impact he can honestly have. I mean, he's 36 or 37. And when you're a skater nowadays, you'd be lucky to play this long. I mean, Yager played until his 40s, but I mean, just goes to show that he wasn't the Yager that he was in the day, towards the end of his career, you could say, compared to when he was elite with the Pittsburgh Penguins in the 90s. So I'm not sure how much of an impact Dave Backes is going to really have with the Ducks. He's on his last year of his contract, and I mean, unless he has a bounce back season this year, I could see this possibly being the last season that he plays. That's just my bold prediction. A former Hab in Nicolas Delorier, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. I do know that depending where you're at, you sometimes pronounce the S, other times you don't. But when it comes to French, I do believe it's silent. So I think it's Nicolas Delorier or something like that. But again, he's another bottom six forward, kind of like Agazina, and he's like an enforcer or a tough guy. And I know the league's kind of going away from these people, but you still need someone like that on your team. I mean, what happens if someone takes a cheap shot on your superstar? You need someone to stick up for him, because you can't have your captain or your leader of your team fighting all the battles on top of trying to put up goals and assists every single game. So he's a good bottom six forward. I kind of miss him in Montreal, but didn't really have any place for him now. Christian Jews, or the Jews, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, came over from Washington in a trade last year. Forward, I do believe. I'm sure Washington does miss him, but he's in Anaheim now, so we'll see how he does in his first full season with the Ducks. He's also on. Oh no, sorry, he re-signed. I thought he was on his last year, but it does say he had an extension for a year, so 2 more years with the Ducks minimum, unless he gets traded away. Yeah, we'll see how he does in the first full season with the Ducks. Cam Fowler, an interesting defenseman here. A guy who's kind of been up and down and the trades and speculation and all that other jazz. He's still a Duck. Hard to believe. I remember there was rumors about the Habs possibly being in on him on a trade a couple years back, but I was like, there's no way Anaheim's letting this guy go. And sure enough, they got him for another 6 more years. So I'm sure he'll be sticking around in Orange County for a little while. And the man that I started off by saying, the captain, the leader, you could say, of the Anaheim Ducks, Ryan Getzlaf, 35 years or 36 years of age. He's also just like Backus and a couple of... So he's also just like Backus, that he's on his last year of his contract. And unless he has an unbelievable season, puts up crazy amount of points, stays healthy, that's a huge thing. I don't see him playing much longer. I mean, he might play another year or two, depending on how this season goes. But in my personal opinion, I think he's kind of on like the downward part of his career. Nothing against the guy. I mean, he's been playing in the league since 2005, so it's 15 years in the league, all with the same team, respectively. It's hard to find players nowadays sticking around with teams for so long because they're so money hungry that they just want to go wherever money talks, I guess. So we'll see if he can lead their team back in the playoff, get another chance for another playoff berth. I will make my prediction at the end of the video to see how I think they will fare in the season. So bear with me. Derek Grant, they traded him away to Philadelphia. He had a little run with the Flyers, made it to the second round of the playoffs before they got bounced by the Islanders. He's back in Orange County and as a bottom 6 forward. That's where he belongs. So we'll see what the 2021 has to offer. Now, if you're a Boston fan, how are you feeling about Danton Heinen leaving your organization when he was basically a top 6 forward there, and now he's found himself in Southern California playing with the likes of Getzlaf and Henrique and all that other stuff? A guy who's actually coming up next on my list. So, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure they gave up Richie to get Heinen. So, and he's also coming up on his last year on his contract. So, depending on where they sit, depending on if there's a season or not, because they keep delaying everything, but depending on how the season goes, as long as he can stay healthy, there's so many factors with every single player. If he has a fair amount of points, I could see him getting a pretty good extension. But if he has like an so-so season, he might be looking at like, I don't know, $3 or $4 million a year. He's making 2.8 now. Adam Henrique, if you're a Devils fan, you might be thinking, I remember he scored that game-winning goal against the New York Rangers in 2012 at the Eastern Conference Final, and that's about it. I'm kidding. He's a very good forward. No disrespect to him. He's found his way out of Jersey, a team that seemed like they weren't really doing much with the organization at the time of the trade. And now he's made a name for himself in Anaheim. So I could see once Getzlaf retires, because Henrique still has 4 more years left on his deal. I could see once Getzlaf is gone, I could see Henrique being the new number 1, if he already isn't the number 1 center, and to take over that reign. Who do we got next? I went too far. Max Jones, top 6 forward. I think he put up some decent numbers last season, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just going to double check his stats. Not that great. Only had 12 points in 59 games before the season was put on pause. He still has another year of his contract. So again, like a lot of these players, they have a lot to prove if they want to make the big bucks. Otherwise, they'd be lucky to get $3 or $4 million, in my opinion. Like he's still on his rookie contract. Coming up next, Ryan Kessler. He's not a member of the team, but this is what NHL hockey or NHL 21 does, along with the previous games, is that if a player has been under contract with that team, they're going to put them in the game. Now you have the option to play them. I personally don't, but due to Kessler's injuries that made him basically retire earlier than expected, he still has 2 more years left on his contract at $875,000. So he's basically getting paid to stay home. Must be nice, eh? Jacob Larson. Don't know much about the fella, but let's see what his stats were like last season. 11 points in 60 games. It's not terrible, not great, but we'll see how he does. I honestly think he'll be like not like the bottom pairing of it, because they just have so many great defensemen on their team. It'd be hard to push like a Fowler down to a third line, or push another defenseman, which I will bring up after, on the bottom pair. So I think he might be like on the bottom pair line if he's not scratched. Vinny Lettieri. I don't know if we have many stats about him. Just basically played all last season in the minor league with, I think it's the Hartford Wolfpack, the Rangers affiliate team. I mean, he put up pretty decent numbers in the AHL, 47 points in 61 games, but that's the AHL, not the NHL, so those are 2 different levels of competition. Hampus Lindholm, an elite defenseman for sure. Let's see what his stats are like. You know what? I might as well just go through the players' stats. What's that going to hurt, eh? I put up 23 points in 56 games. Pretty respectable. Thing is, I was only 56 games. I was the second lowest amount of points he's had in the league. Wow, really? Except for second, because he had 30 points in 2014, 34 points in 2015, 28 points in 2016, 20 points in 2017. That was his lowest of the bunch. And then 31 points in 2018, 28 points 2 seasons ago, and last year at 23. So, I mean, he's a very good defenseman, a very elite, top 4 for sure. Okay, who do we got next? We got Josh Manson, another top 4 defenseman on the team. He wasn't a very good season. Only had 9 points in 50 games last season. That was definitely his lowest point since 2015, when he only had 3 assists. Will he have a bounce back year, just like many players? Only one way to find out. But going back to Larson, this is why I do believe that, like, because you're going to have Mansons, you're going to have Lindholms taking up basically the top 2 spots, the Fowlers with the 3rd spot, and then obviously the big signing at the end of the list will take up the top 4. That's why I truly believe they're going to have a very good top 4 with Manson, Lindholm, and with Lindholm, Manson, and Fowler, and future guest. Sonny Milano, I think he played with Columbus and part of Anaheim. Yeah, so he got traded from Columbus to Anaheim, played 9 games, got 5 points. All in all, he had 23 points last season in basically 55 games. So it's nothing's going to pop out at you. But, I mean, it's fairly respectable. See how he does or where he fits in the lineup. Rickard Rakell. If he's not already a star, he's going to be a star. That's for damn sure. 42 points in 65 games last season. He had 40. It was just one short of the season before with 43 points in 69 games. So imagine if they had played a full 82 game season. I think he would have possibly gotten up to almost 50 points, because he still had about 17 games left. So I could have easily seen him getting at least between 45 50 points. So damn good kid. He can play the wing or center, so you really can't go wrong. I almost feel that players nowadays, doesn't matter if you're a left winger, a center, or a right winger, you have to practice center, because how many times have you watched a game and the center gets kicked out and you have to have someone else take the draw? Whereas like 10, 15 years ago, it was just strictly the center. No one got kicked out of the circle. I guess you could say the face-off circle. But nowadays, I feel like kids growing up in the juniors and obviously in the AHLs and stuff like that, like you need to be able to win a face-off. Doesn't matter if you're known as a left winger or center or a right winger, because if your center gets kicked out, someone else has to take the draw, and then a defensive's not going to do it. Counting at the bottom six forward, kind of like Grant and Agazina I mentioned at the top. He has some grit. That's for damn sure. This is the big signing I want to talk about. Kevin Shattenkirk. I'm sorry to keep it so long. Sorry it took so long to get to this. But he is going to be... He's a fantastic addition to this Ducks organization. Like I said, if they clearly want to get back in the playoffs, and adding someone like Kevin Shattenkirk in the mix is a definite huge win. Obviously, like I said, he just came off the Stanley Cup run with the Tampa Bay Lightning, so he has that to go on his resume. And he is the fourth person that I believe will fill out the top four, with Lindholm, Fowler on the left side, and then you're going to have Shattenkirk and Manson on the other side. I mean, you could have put Manson with Lindholm or whatever the case may be is, but that's the top four when it comes to defense, in my personal opinion. And having a veteran defenseman like that on your team, and for only $3.9 million against the cap, isn't too bad for someone of his stature. Now, can he stay consistent? Can he stay healthy? That's going to be the major X factor for the Ducks this season and going forward. Jakob Silfverberg, another fantastic player. He's a consistent goal scorer, and he's putting up basically almost 40 points every single season since he's been in the league, and since he came over from Ottawa back in 2013. Minus the 2013-2014 season when he had 23 points, but 39, 49, 40, 43, and in a shortened 66-game season this past season, he had almost 40 points. So if they ever get back to a full 82-game schedule, I could see him going for like 40. He's guaranteed like 40 points, maybe 40, 45 points, and that's pretty damn good. In my opinion, it's almost half a point a game. I think we're almost done. We've got Sam Steele, top six forward. Let's check out his stats from past season. 22 points in 65 games. And he's spent his whole career with the Ducks, only 2 seasons. Where's he going to fit in the lineup? Maybe he'll be in the top 9 with Getzlaf, Henrique, and then possibly Sam Steele. Who knows? You guys still have Derek Grant, I do believe, to fill out that center spot. And that's it for the skaters. I'll quickly go to the goalies. I'm surprised this has already been almost 20 minutes long. If anyone happens to watch this, thank you very much for your patience. John Gibson. Very good goalie. Only 27 years young. And he has 7 years left at a cap of 6.4, which for a goalie is damn near good. Now, I will say this, that I like his contract a lot better than my goalie's contract. And if you hadn't known by now, I'm a huge Habs fan. So obviously, Carey Price, I'm not a fan of $10 million. I find that's way too much for a goalie. Like if I'm a GM and I'm negotiating a contract with someone, the last thing I'm thinking about is paying a guy $10 million to not score goals. I mean, that's basically like, I know McDavid's making more money, but I mean, like, I'd rather pay McDavid $10 million each season to score goals than pay a goalie $10 million to try and stop the other team from scoring. That's a lot of money against the cap, just from my opinion. So I like Gibson's contract. Like I said, he's still young. He'll only be 33 or 34 when his contract runs up. So I mean, this could take him almost into that last little bit of a contract, or his next contract, which will obviously be his last contract, pending he stays healthy, knock on wood. But yeah, that's the Ducks roster as of right now. If I had to make a bold prediction, I'd say with all the teams that they have that are out there, I honestly think it's going to be another year or so before they finally get their stuff back in together. Now I could say that, and then the Ducks could like make me look ridiculous and just come out hot and have a fantastic year. But I just think there's just too many good teams, too many better teams ahead of them or in their division to keep up. Now, I mean, they still will probably be a little bit better than the Kings or the Sharks. I think they'll be the best California team in that division, but I don't know if they can really keep up with the rest of the teams in that Pacific division. So, no playoffs for the Ducks in 2021. That's my bold prediction, and those are that's the roster as of December 1st. Thanks as always for tuning into the channel. If you haven't subscribed, feel free to do so. Hit like, comment down below. I'd like to hear your feedback, whether you agree or disagree with my belief. Anyways, until next time, guys, take care.